Hello, we're trying an experiment. We've been reading a lot about freeze-dried seeds and the fact that they keep longer, up to 10 years, uh, remaining viable, and that they germinate quicker. So, since we have a home freeze dryer, we thought we would try to freeze dry several different varieties of seeds and just do an in-home experiment that may be helpful to those of you who are interested in this sort of thing. We've got 6 different varieties of seeds that we wanted to try, different sizes, different varieties, so we could do a good test and determine which varieties do well freeze-dried and which of them may not. Never have done it before, so we're going to be learning from this just as well as y'all. The varieties that we have are Clemson spineless okra, Roma 2 green beans, it's a bush green bean, collard seeds, the variety is Georgia Southern, cucumber seeds, the variety is National Pickling, and tomato seeds of a variety called Ponderosa. All these seeds are 2020 seeds. This is April 30th, 2020, and these seeds were packaged for this year. We also have a sweet corn variety, which is the remainder of the variety that we plant every year. It's called Ambrosia Hybrid. It's a very sweet bicolor SH variety corn, and it's covered with that pink chemical, so we've rinsed off as much as we can before it went into the freeze dryer, just so it wouldn't get poison fumes in our freeze dryer. What I'm going to do is go ahead and cut these packets open. We've got a couple of different little containers that'll contain the seeds during the freeze dry process, and once we're ready to put them in the freeze dryer, we'll restart the video and show you how we set the freeze dryer up. Okay, well, here we are back again after opening up the packets. We've got the rest of our students on hand watching this process, and here's the tray ready for the freeze dryer. Garden beans, okra, the bush beans, collards, tomatoes, and cucumbers. Okay, we're putting the tray in the freeze dryer. This is a Harvest Right freeze dryer. I think it's the only freeze dryer that's available for residential use. The freeze dryer will hold 4 trays. We don't want to run empty trays, so the other 3 trays are tomato paste and raw scrambled eggs. We have chickens, so we freeze dry scrambled eggs and cans of tomato paste. The freeze dryer has a setting that we customize. We'll set it on, typically we just want to make sure everything's frozen, so we set the freeze time at 12 hours, and then we set the final dry at 12 hours, just because if it turns into final dry in the middle of the night, we don't want it stopping when we're not there and available. So it tells me to close the drain valve. I'll do that when we're done here. We're ready to go. Now the freeze dryer will freeze the seeds, it'll freeze the tomato paste, whatever's in there. I've seen this freeze dryer actually achieve temperatures of minus 81 degrees, so it's a very hard freeze. And then once it's frozen at the end of the freeze cycle, it flips over to a vacuum cycle where it removes the moisture from the contents of the freeze dryer until it reaches a point where there's absolutely no moisture left in. So we'll see, and we'll show you the seeds when we take them out. Alright, it's been approximately 2 days. The process is complete. I don't know if you can see the readout there, but it says process is complete. I've already released the vacuum, and we're going to open it up and take out the seeds and the other raw eggs and tomato paste that we also freeze dried. If you're curious, this is what canned tomato paste looks like coming out of the freeze dryer. We crush that to a powder, and my wife just uses that to supplement to make spaghetti sauce. The seeds actually are very surprising. They don't look any different than normal garden seeds. So we'll carry these in the house and pack them up in, I've got some small jars in there to save them in, and possibly tomorrow we'll plant the seeds and we'll keep track of how long it takes them to germinate and what kind of germination rate we get out of it. Okay, the seeds have been freeze dried. We've pulled them out. I've packed them into containers. I've prepared a seed bed. My intentions are for each of the 6 seeds to plant 20 seeds, and that should give us a pretty good percentage rate of germination. I'm not going to plant them at normal intervals. I'll just plant them with an inch or 2 apart, cover them with soil. There's supposed to be a good thunderstorm tonight, so the seed bed should be watered well, or I'll water it tomorrow. But within a week or so we should have a pretty good idea of how quickly and how vigorously the seeds do germinate, and we'll give you a report on how many out of each 20 seeds germinates. Okay, well, as you can see, it's been quite some time since we planted the seeds, and all the seeds came up. Well, not every single one, but all the varieties came up. The corn came up, the green beans came up, but the rabbits have eaten them off. You can still see the stubs. The okra came up, and the collards came up. The tomato plants were kind of sparse, but we had a frost right after I planted them. But as you can see, the cucumbers came up well. So that just basically confirms the premise that freeze-dried seeds will sprout. That's all that we were looking for, was just to confirm that once you freeze-dried seeds, that they would sprout, and supposedly that keeps them viable much longer.